person entangled in a web of heinous crimes, and a family led down a dark path of destruction. This is no ordinary crime story. This is a dark, scary, mind-blowing family tragedy. Are you ready to face the shocking truths of the Palu family? Today I will tell you about a case that made a big impact in Turkey and left a deep mark on many people's memories. The Palu family. What makes this case particularly horrific is not just one criminal or one incident, but how one man took control of an entire family and dragged them into crime. At the center of everything that happened to the family is Tuncer Ustael, who entered the family as a son-in-law. His manipulations, violence, and murders shocked both Turkey and the world. Let's examine these horrific events step by step. So, who is this Palu family? The Palu family was actually an ordinary family living in Kocaeli. The family members consisted of Mother Hava and Father Harun, and their children Mariam, Isa, Fadi, Izhe, and Amina. The eldest daughter of the family, Mariam, had two children from her marriage to Ahmet Tanhal, Melike, and Recep. Amina, the other daughter of Harun and Hava, married Tuncer Ustael, the person who changed the fate of the family, and they had two children from this marriage, but the names of these children are unknown. Izhe, Fadi, and Isa Palu, as the other three children of the family, were involved in these tragic events. After Tuncer entered the family as a son-in-law, he took control of the entire family and dragged them into various crimes. There were cases of abuse against both women and men among the family members, and Tuncer Ustael's pressure on the entire family continued for years. In this case, almost all of the family members believed Tuncer Ustael's lies and manipulations and became part of a tragic process, and were involved in a large crime chain that resulted in the deaths of Mariam and Melike. Tuncer Ustael's real goal was not just marriage. Tuncer, who entered the family as a son-in-law, was making long-term and insidious plans to seize the Palu family's inheritance. He wanted to control the family members by turning them against each other, and to seize all of the family's assets by manipulating them in line with his own interests. Tuncer first targeted those who opposed him. The father of the family, Harun, and Mariam's husband, Ahmet Tanhal, were names that did not believe Tuncer's lies and stood against him. However, Tuncer managed to eliminate them with various intrigues. Mariam had returned to her family's house after an argument with her husband. This situation was an opportunity that Tuncer could not miss. He slandered Isa, whom he saw as the person in the family who could be manipulated the easiest, by claiming that Ahmet had dragged Mariam into prostitution. Ahmet, who came to the family house to win his wife back, was shot and killed by Isa in the ensuing argument. Father Harun, fearing that his son would go to prison, because of that Harun took the blame and went to prison. Thus, Tuncer got rid of two important obstacles against him. Tuncer manipulated both the family and the people around him by introducing himself as a religious man. He deceived them by writing prayers and amulets that had nothing to do with religion, and he made unfair profits from the uneducated and weak individuals in the surrounding areas. He manipulated his family members by taking advantage of their religious beliefs and fears. Tuncer's manipulations over the years, and the crimes he committed under the guise of religion, brought the family under his complete control. The family members were no longer brave enough to oppose him and submitted to his wishes like slaves. In addition, Tuncer was involved in all kinds of illegal activities, from small-scale frauds, such as changing the labels of expired chocolates sold on the site where he once worked as a janitor, to larger exploits. Tuncer claimed that a spell had been cast on his house so that his family would believe him, and he would paint on the walls of the house. After breaking the walls of the house and placing meaningless Arabic writings on some papers, he would show them to the family as if he had found them and make them believe that he was their protector. Tuncer not only did these things to the family, who had religious fears, but also abused the family members, physically abused them, and left them hungry. One of Tuncer's most horrific plans was on Mariam Palu and her little daughter Melike. Mariam was a widowed mother who had lost her husband, and Tuncer took control of her with his manipulations. He would lock Mariam and her 2 children in a room and give them only the little food they needed to survive. He said that he did all of this to protect the family from the spells. Unable to withstand the torture, Mariam's son Recep escaped through the window and saved himself, but he could not save his sister Melike. Recep, who participated in the program years later, told what happened and said that he fainted from hunger while running away and that when the police found him, he was taken to the orphanage. Tuncer, on the other hand, convinced the family that Recep's situation meant that they had to leave the house by telling them that he had been kidnapped by their enemies. Hava Palu, who believed that a spell had been cast on them and that their enemies would harm them, gave all of their assets to Tuncer with Tuncer's guidance. The family members lost all of their assets, were now left as a homeless. Tuncer bought a car with some of the assets he had obtained, and the family of 10 began living in the car. How they fit into a passenger car had also been a topic of discussion on Muga Anli's program. The family lived in the car for months, and Tuncer continued to torture Mariam during this period. The neighbors who saw that he had tied Mariam to a tree and not given her food also joined the program and told what they had seen. Tuncer irrationally deceived Mariam and her family into believing that she was possessed by evil spirits. He also told the other family members that Mariam was leaking information to the family's enemies and that they needed to get rid of her. Tuncer tortured Mariam under the name of a so-called exorcism session. As a result of this torture, Mariam suffered serious physical and psychological damage and died. And one night, Tuncer and the other family members Hava and Isa buried Mariam's dead body in a spot close to where their vehicle was located. Tuncer was abusing Mariam's daughter Melike. He told her that there were demons in her stomach and made her drink pure alcohol. Little Melike's stomach swelled after drinking the pure alcohol, and she lost her life immediately after the violence that continued. Following this death, an investigation was launched into Tuncer Ustael and the other family members. The Palu family's lawyer discussed the situation on Turkey's famous morning show, Muga Anli Li Tatlısı. Also, all the family members who participated in the program were protecting Tuncer and did not accept the murders and the violence Tuncer had inflicted on them. According to them, the ones responsible for all this were the spiritual beings and the family's enemies, the family's deceased son-in-law. But the truth was that the deceased son-in-law's mother and the Hava Palu are sisters. There was a marriage beat one the family member, and the family thought that their siblings were hostile towards them. Since the family's only fear was not Tuncer, but also the spiritual beings, they did not tell what they knew, and they thought that their daughters Mariam and Melike were not dead, but had been kidnapped by their enemies. It was revealed how Tuncer manipulated the family and how he caused Mariam's death. Mariam's body, which was reported missing for a long time, was found with her bones near a vineyard house, as a result of the hard work and pressure of the program and police teams, with Tuncer's words. Tuncer's control was not limited to Mariam and Melike. It was revealed that he sexually abused other members of the family. He carried out sexual assaults on both women and men. Tuncer's aim was not only to seize the family's wealth, but also to make them completely psychologically and physically dependent on him. These horrific acts of Tuncer were examined in detail on Muga Anli's program. The statements of the family members and Tuncer's lies came to light one by one. In 2019, as a result of the investigations conducted on the program, Mariam and Melike's bodies were found buried in a field. The discovery of the bones played a key role in solving the case. The horrific crimes that Tuncer Ustael had committed for years have finally come to light. This discovery was a very important step for both justice to be served and for the family to end the nightmare they had been living in for years. Tuncer was sentenced to life imprisonment for these crimes. Other family members were tried for being accessory to the crimes. Some family members were released pending trial. Tuncer Ustael's manipulative personality continued in prison. During his time in prison, he tried to gain sympathy during the trial by going on a fake hunger strike. As a result of the long trial process, the court ruled that Tuncer Ustael be sentenced to aggravated life imprisonment for the crime of deliberate killing by torture. Defendants Hava Palu, Isa Palu, Isa Palu, and Amina Ustael were sentenced to 12 years and 6 months in prison. Fatih Palu, who was under 18 at the time of the incident, was sentenced to 8 years and 4 months in prison. The Court of Cassation overturned the decision and the defendants were retried. Following the decision, defendant Tuncer Ustael and his wife Amina Ustael cursed the court. The Palu family case has gone down in history as one of the most complex and chilling true crime cases committed in Turkey. It reveals how one man can completely control a family and how powerful a weapon fear and manipulation can be. The crimes committed by Tuncer Ustael have deeply shaken society's sense of justice. If you found this video informative, don't forget to subscribe and share your comments below. What are your thoughts on this case? See you in the next video.